Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Joe and Cody. I'm Joe.
I'm Cody.
Yeah, there we go. We got it.
We did it.
That wasn't even planned. That was impromptu, that we
Yes,
just like did that right after each other.
we're
How are
that
you?
good. I'm
Yeah.
good, man. I've been mowing a lot, and it feels nice to be able to just get caught up on some of that stuff. Sports are done, so it's like our
Yeah.
evenings and weekends open up more, get to actually work around the house. Feels
That's
nice.
great.
How
That's
about you?
great. And you have a riding lawnmower because you got a big yard, yeah?
Yes. So the hard part is our kind of like field, the rest of the property is it stays wet for a while, so I can't mow it until it all gets to where it's like 5 feet tall because the ground is still so wet. So I can
Oh,
finally get once I can finally get to it, it's kind of a slow go because I use the tractor with the mower behind it and it
yeah.
it works great, but it's like the thing that sucks is you gotta cut grass that's 5 feet tall, so it leaves such a big mess behind.
Yeah.
But I wanna get a flail mower where it's like chops it up, but those are like 3 grand and
I love how you're talking about mowers as if anybody knows well, people that have property might, but
yeah.
I'm
It
like, I don't
just
even know
mulches it
what
up
I
and,
just like know a mower, like the mulching
yeah,
one or the non-mulching. Like
it's it's kinda like, it's how it is with everything, you get into something and then you
Oh,
realize there's
yeah,
always a
and you're
better
talking about it.
version of that, and then
Oh, and there's
yeah.
someone out there that knows exactly what you're talking about. I just like
Yeah.
the city boy in me is coming out clearly that I'm like, I don't know what a flail mower is, but
If anybody listening has a
I
good
hope you get
connection to a
one.
flail
Yeah.
mower, thank you.
Yeah, a
I
flail
want
mower is
one.
needed for Cody.
Absolutely, I
Now I
wanna
gotta see
mulch
a
it
flail
up.
mower. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT what a
Yeah,
flail
yeah, look
mower
it up.
is and give me some pics.
It's like instead of the blade going underneath that
Yeah,
spins like a regular mower,
yeah.
it rotates this way and it has like a bunch of little blades. So it just mulches everything up and it gets a nice clean cut rather than cutting 5 feet of grass and leaving just
And it
like
just sits there.
massive
Yeah,
clumps everywhere.
yeah.
But
I see,
eventually
I
we're gonna
see.
get cows and they'll eat up a lot of the grass. So
Yeah. Well,
baby
cool.
steps. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Well, we've
How
got
are
one more
you?
week of baseball. One more week, not this weekend, but next. Cora's got a dance program. I think it's called a dance event, a
Thing.
rehearsal. I don't know. It's
A
on
dance.
Saturday, so we got that. We got
Nice.
the dance thing. One more week of Rory's baseball, then we have a little bit of a break before football starts. So
Okay.
yeah, but enjoying the
Love it.
nice weather. I did a
Oh,
project, so to talk about I always have to do a project that requires me to do it 3/4 of the way, figure out that I didn't do one of the steps back at the beginning, which then makes me have to take down the entire thing. Um, I did that
I
the other
can't
day,
relate to that at all.
and I just was furious, but I just yeah, ended up doing it. Done.
Yeah.
That's good. So
And you finished it
it's
100%.
done. Yes, it's done. I did
Wow.
it twice, basically. First time with missing a step, then the next time with it all. So
So now you're
the
an
story of
expert.
my life, man. Gosh, it's so
Yeah,
frustrating. Anyways,
I know. It is.
so I don't want to say that we are super smart or that we predicted this, but we did talk about this weeks prior, and now I'm seeing articles in the news of that it's changing to a buyer's market.
Mm,
The national news is starting to say, "Oh, wait a minute, buyers are having more of a say." We have been talking about
yeah,
this for weeks now, when everyone's been
yeah,
saying, "Well, it's still a seller's market a little bit, but it." And we were like, "No, I think it's a buyer's market."
yeah. I
So
completely agree.
we've been right, and I wanted to refer to a New York Post article that kind of reiterates that, like I just read, that basically says sellers are flooding the home market while buyers sit on their hands in these U.S. cities. So basically, again, it's talking nationally, so that is different than, you know, particular neighborhoods. There are neighborhoods, there are homes, there are everything that sell quick. But the overall trend is that uh, buyers are having more of a say, and it's becoming a buyer's market in certain areas, especially in the South and Southeast. Um,
Oh, okay.
Arizona, Florida, those sort of
Yeah.
places that overproduced, and now buyers are just, hanging out,
Uh-huh.
dragging their feet. So I thought it was an interesting article. I don't think it was anything new that I saw that, we haven't been seeing, but
Yeah.
basically that buyers are sitting on their hands. Home prices only climbed 1.4% in May compared to the 2% annual growth in April. And this again is national numbers.
Okay.
Doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily factor into us, but they did say it priced in the past 5 years. Home prices have surged more than 50% nationwide.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, for the over the past 5 years. So what that means is basically this is what's hard to explain, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that though we are seeing price drops, it is all relative to the increase of say 50% over 5 years.
Hmm.
So your home is still appreciating. I think people see that initial drop and say home prices are decreasing, which they are, but the
Yeah,
appreciation that you've gained is just not as significant and not as big as that 50% over 5 years, which is odd. Like to have a
totally.
50% growth over 5 years of your home or appreciation in your home. So you are
Yeah,
still appreciating. We just have to slow our roll is what we're seeing in the
right.
appreciation. We still think we can get those numbers and we're just not seeing those numbers.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, and I think that it's good. Like we need that. We need to have things stabilize, level off, drop a little bit, just because of that such a huge increase over the 5 years. Um, it's funny because for so many years it feels like when I've looked at stuff that either people are buying or I'm just looking to kind of see what's out there, it has felt overpriced, 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 overpriced. And now it's finally starting to get to this point where I'm starting to see houses out there and go, "Oh, that's actually seems like a pretty good deal."
Yeah. Yep,
Because we've had a couple years now of much smaller appreciation, and so you kind of start to get used to that value and the price of the homes and looking at it like, wow, things are starting to I do feel like things are starting to level out and there's price drops, you're seeing price drops.
oh, for sure.
When you look at it though, it's such a small percentage. So I think when you hear price drops or think price drops, it's like drastic, major. But when you're talking about ten or $15,000 on a six, $700,000 house, there's price drops, but it's not as if that it went down 10% before it sold.
For
So
sure. And if you're looking at that home selling it, you're selling the home 5 years from the time you bought it. There's
yeah,
equity in the home. So,
yeah,
you might not be getting as much of a return, but it still is a return. The home's still appreciated. You're still coming out with money in your pocket. So, it's
yeah.
kind of again, uh, not to toot our own horns, but we had been saying this for weeks. And now the national news comes out with it and starts saying it again.
Did any of
And
those articles credit us in that
no,
by
unfortunately, they didn't.
chance?
They credit these
Wow.
random real estate agents that have no clue what they're talking about and just say these
Yeah.
same stupid things. They, the last thing again is what we talked about. I think last week was that homes are coming on the market because sellers initially in the 3% range were like, we're staying in our home forever. We don't ever need to
Yeah.
move at a 3% rate. Well, times have turned. And so you're seeing
Yeah.
more homes come on the market because sellers are being forced to move, whether it's upgrading, downgrading, moving for a job, relocating, all that sort of stuff. So again, Cody and I said this stuff. You can wait for the media to come out months later, or you can just
Yep.
stay listening to us and we will tell you
Yes.
what's going to happen. But
And isn't that the case? I feel like especially in the housing and the mortgage side too, like when it goes out to the public with everything, it's already happened weeks
yeah,
prior, like interest rates, home price, whatever it is. It takes so long for it to get out there that by the time everybody finds out about it, it's like, oh yeah, that's been going on for a month
it's been
now.
going
But
on for a while. Yeah. And
yeah,
so, anyways, if you want your news, man, Joe
yeah,
and
log in
Cody.
here.
Joe and Cody need to be
Goodness.
the guys that you talk to because we got before the New York Post
That's right.
that posted this article. When did they post
Yep.
it? 2 days ago. We were already weeks in advance. So
That was old news.
we just need a breaking news for Joe and Cody telling
Yeah.
everyone what's happening before they know what's happening.
Right.
Anyways, I have been seeing a trend, and this is a TikTok trend. So this is more of like you
Mhm.
lenders out there trying to maybe clickbait, but I'm not sure
Yeah.
of talking about potentially lowering rates by the end of the year. Again, you're hesitant to say it. I'm hesitant to say it. I'm hesitant to even look at that stuff because we've been
Because
wrong
it's
for the
been
last year
wrong.
and a half.
Exactly.
But there are people that are starting to kind of trying to use data and analytics and future things to see rates by the end of 2025 going down, which I think hurts people in the long run, especially if
Yeah.
they're wrong, because then buyers see that news article and are like, ooh, I'm going to wait for December. And then when December
Yes.
comes and the rates are still high, then they're like, well, I just lost out, over the last
Right.
6 months. So, anyways, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, my thoughts are I would love to see that happen. And everything that I've been reading, I just read an article before jumping on here with you, was talking about because the Feds just met and released their notes and statements for this month, and Still keeping things put where they're at, which is kind of the target rate between 4.25 and 4.5 on the funds rate. But in that same article, it did talk about September as kind of the projected expected time frame on when they might do their first cut. So looking at potentially 50 basis points or 0.5% by the end of this year. So having it down to 3.6, and again, this is the article. I'd have to pull it up and tell you exactly where it came from, but 3.6 was kind of what they were expecting or targeting or thinking that might be the case by the end of the year. And then by the end of 26, it was like 3.3 or something. So kind of like a stair step again, maybe drop another half a percent this year, maybe another 0.5% next year, and just kind of see where things are at that point. So I think obviously, anything is better than nothing. It is hard when it's kind of just month after month after month of really no change. Like that's usually great when rates are a little more manageable for everyone. When you're in this higher environment, it definitely makes it just kind of things stall out, and we're seeing it with listings and home prices and everything. It's just there's just not as many people buying in this current market, and it could just be renting for another year. It could be saving up more, whatever it might be. But it does look like if any of these people are correct, then we may start to see some rate drops by the end of the year. But I'm not gonna. I'm gonna say that rates are never gonna come down, and then when they do, then I'm happy and
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah, you can be wrong. Like
I'll be
sometimes
wrong in the right way.
I'll tell sellers that want to price high. I'm like, look, I want to price your home. If I'm wrong, if I price your home at $1 million lower and you get $1 million more, I'm wrong and we both win. So,
Yes,
but it's
exactly.
just not in the cards. So it's not. It doesn't benefit me to price it lower. So
Right.
anyways,
Yeah.
but I think there's good opportunities if you are a buyer or an investor, particularly, and are willing to go outside of the United States, or not outside the United States, outside of Oregon, Washington, and look in those places that have a high supply and low demand. Florida's, the
Yeah.
Arizonas. I think they even mentioned Seattle at certain points. If you have the funds, you want to become an investor, those are great places to start looking
Totally.
out of state. I think that's a great opportunities. Once you start seeing these
Yeah.
news articles that can seem doom or gloom, you should look at that as opportunities to either buy where you are, if it's one of those places that is seeing high supply, low demand, or go outside your state. I think it's much easier than you think to purchase out of state and maintain a property out of state. And you can talk to Cody and I about that. But if you are interested, but I do think there's opportunity there. That article didn't write me or appear to me as negative, more of like, okay, here's where people make money. Like in
Sure.
times like this, investors, people that that we see that are wealthy and in big time investors look at this stuff and say, okay, where can I start making an opportunity and start purchasing properties that people aren't buying? Because eventually it'll turn around a little bit. So
Yep. Yeah, it's all such a mindset. I mean, you talk to a financial planner and they're going to tell you the same thing about investing your money. When things
yeah,
are getting bad,
put
that's
more
the
money
time
in.
to double
Yeah,
down
yeah,
and get the most out of it. It's hard to
for
do
sure.
because you're looking at your money, especially that's kind of a little more of a long term. You got to ride
Yeah,
out the lows to get to the highs, but going back to what you were just talking about, if you bought your house 5 years ago, you gained a ton of equity
yeah,
and didn't really do anything other than just purchase it and live in it and make your payment.
for sure.
Sure, there's people that made improvements and everything, but in general, like you gained all of that just by purchasing. And 5 years ago, that was a hot time to buy, but everything was getting overpriced and skyrocketing at that time. So I think
For
it's,
sure.
no matter what the environment is, it's never going to feel like the right time in the sense of like, wow, home prices are
I
super
just
low,
have a
rates
ton
are
of
low.
money. Yeah, and
Yes, I have
I
all
can't
this
wait
money.
to
This
throw
is
it.
the
I
time.
can't wait to throw it at something.
Yes.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it's
You have to
yeah,
jump in at
it's
some point. Yeah.
you do. Yeah.
And
And
it's
you're not
I
gonna
know a lot of really successful investors that really like people kind of work numbers very, they're like, "Oh, my mortgage is this, my rent is this. I'm only making X amount profit or I'm making even profit or I'm making something." But it's like it's not just how much you're making month to month. I know a lot of really successful investors that are making $100 a month on their properties. But the appreciation over time, someone's paying their mortgage and they're getting $100 in their pocket. Doesn't seem like a
yeah.
lot, but that appreciation over time on the home allows you to not only sell the home down the road for a higher price, after someone had paid your mortgage for the amount of time
Yeah.
that you had it. But also, you can use that as leverage to get a home equity line of credit, to use it for other stuff, or to, and again, the renter's paying for
Yeah.
all that stuff. So we've done that here in Oregon. But yeah, definitely time to take advantage if you are sitting on the fence with investing, or just curious about it. It's definitely, those are the articles you should see and say, okay, let's start looking at these places. So
Yeah. Yep. Well, and I know we've talked about it on here before, but you can do a DSCR loan where you don't even have to qualify based on your income or anything.
just how much the income's coming in,
It's just the income coming in from the home,
for sure.
so it's just really a down payment at that point. You don't even have to, it's just the property qualifying. So there are a lot of options, and I know a few people that have gone outside of our area, gone Midwest and other less expensive areas and purchase rentals properties there. And like you said, the return is not as great, but it's still appreciating at the same rate of everything else. And
Yeah, and if
it's
you
a
have a
little
good team
safer.
on in that state, if you have a good property manager, if you have a good real estate agent, if you have that stuff set in place, it's kind
Yeah.
of set it and forget it, and
Yeah.
just let someone else handle it, and then leverage the home when you need it. So,
Yep.
anywho, that's
Amen.
our advice for this week. It's good to see you.
Hey, good to see
Get
you
on
too.
get on our podcast if you want to see more of Cody and
Yes.
me, Cody and me, Cody and I. And is it I? Okay. There's different times where you say Cody and me, isn't there? Like, isn't
I
there a
don't know.
sentence that you say that? Anyways, Venture
Um,
with Joe and Cody
I
and
don't know.
I.
I only
Like,
went to high school.
yeah, we went to YML Carleton, so we only have
Yeah.
so much that it pushed that pushed our minds so much. No offense to
Yeah.
YML Carleton, I went there, I love
No.
it. So,
Great institution.
yes. Okay, well, get on Venture Joe and Cody if you want to see us and hear more about our topics and things we would love to explain to people. So it's good to
Absolutely.
see you, man.
Hey, you too. We'll
Okay,
see
talk
you.
soon.